We're live,
All right.
and I'm finally in my new home, my wonderful office.
I
It's so beautiful right now.
see I see part of a guitar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick the tiniest room in your house, huh?
It's actually, well, I guess it's somewhat small, but I don't really need a large space. So
Is it a bedroom or
it's it's technically, so it's kind of weird. So our house, the third floor of our house is the master floor. So it's like the way it was designed is it's the master bedroom. And what I'm in right now is like a storage, like there's two master walk-in closets, like the whole floor is the master suite essentially.
okay.
Uh-huh.
And so what we did is we had them put a door on the master bedroom, like the part that was actually the bedroom. So now that's the bedroom, and then this is like what one of the huge closets, I guess, which would be my, or the storage place, which is my
Okay.
office. But I had them put in a skylight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
That'd be really
that's
nice.
So no
yes,
window, just a skylight?
yeah, just a skylight. So
Okay. That's nice. You at
The only
least will
problem is you
know.
can't turn off the sun.
yeah, well, you could like put a shade in, but you know what? I don't think I was thinking like, would I ever want to turn off like the skylight? I don't think so. Like it's like there's no reason
Yeah.
why I'd want to cover up that light. So
Yeah, at least this way you know what time it is. Get some
yeah,
sense. My first job I had an office and like it was like in this concrete bunker
yeah,
and I couldn't see
oh
light.
yeah,
It was terrible.
yeah. But yeah, so we're moved in, and it is pretty dang awesome where we're at though. It is like the coolest place I've ever lived. Like there's like the detriment is that there's some partiers at night on weekends and stuff, and so it gets a little bit loud.
Okay.
People walking
Like
back to their cars drunk at 2 a.m. and stuff like
like
that. Because
in your building or like just out on the street?
like street parking, because we're right next to the main drag with all the bars and stuff.
Okay.
So
All right.
like party city, California, but everything is so walkable. It's crazy. There's like, I mean, there's like three Starbucks in walking distance. Like there's like four grocery stores. There's like a grocery store, this like organic kind of health. It's called Sprouts. It's like it's literally like I can see it from my house. Like so
Nice.
that's pretty awesome. And then like there's like three or four gyms, like two regular gyms and like three CrossFit gyms all in walking distance.
Oh, we know you're going to one of the CrossFit gyms for sure, right?
Yeah,
I
no
was
kidding.
I was actually at one this morning that I'd walk by because I wanted to get my deadlift and like squat rebuilt, and this guy was specialized in like lower back problems. So
Okay.
I actually went this morning to the 7:30 a.m. workout, and I'm not sold totally. It's like a lot of kettlebells and stuff, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nice.
But yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like and then I'm 6 blocks from the beach and 6 blocks from the bay. They like connect here. There's like this huge marina bay. So like my running path now is like down to the beach and along the beach for like 6 miles and then up around the bay. So yeah, it's pretty dang awesome. I'm pretty happy with this location. Like you don't need a car. So
That's pretty sweet. Are you going to keep the car?
I'm gonna keep it just because, like, for driving to other places in San Diego. I mean, you could
Yeah.
technically take Ubers wherever you wanted to go because it's so infrequent. But it's an old car that I've already got paid off. I've got a two-car garage, so I
Oh,
might as
okay.
well, keep it. And insurance, it's crazy. Like car insurance and uh, and liability insurance is half the price of what it was in Florida.
Hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you think
You
it'd
don't
be,
have the the old people driving the Buicks around
yeah,
broadsiding people.
yeah. Yeah, that has to be
Interesting.
it because it's like in fact it's less than half because I maxed my liability insurance on everything. I got $2 million worth of liability insurance,
Wow.
like
Huh.
still cheaper. So I'm covered. I can like smash into people and
Yeah.
I can get into brawls and be like, oh, uh, sue me.
At least once, right?
Yeah, exactly once. You know. No, it's pretty awesome though. We just got an empty house. I'm meeting with designers like interior decorators to
Oh,
try
cool.
and get the whole. This time we're doing it like not doing the Walmart IKEA thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah,
So
should be
actually
fun.
hire a designer, and that's houses that are done that way. Oh my goodness, that looks, you can definitely tell. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I figure it's worth it. Like normally I've been pretty cheap and frugal, but I want to like we got a nice place here, so I want to
Yeah,
make sure I do it nice. So plus we
nice.
went like furniture shopping and stuff, and it was just it's gonna take like hundreds of hours, right? Instead of like I'd rather pay someone like $4,000 or $5,000, have them design the entire thing, and then
Yeah,
that's worth the
yeah,
time. So yeah,
yep. Yeah, and you can see how it's gonna look too. Like a lot of times they'll give you a like a CAD drawing, shows how it's all gonna look. So
but yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. And there's the other awesome thing is there's like all these like there's a Chipotle and there's like these bowl places like the rice bowl places. There's a whole bunch of them. So I can like go and just grab healthy food, just like hundreds of restaurants all in walking distance. So
nice.
it's
Very
perfect
cool.
for my lifestyle. So yep.
It's pretty
So
awesome.
yeah,
Did you get your
it's pretty
furniture
cool.
back from the? You get your furniture back from the?
From the
Yeah, or your stuff back.
yeah. Oh no. So they tried to hold my furniture hostage. The moving company did. They charged me. They said I was overweight and wanted to charge me like $1,000 more
Oh
than what
god.
they estimated. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I had to deal with that scam, and then you know we finally negotiated something, and they delivered the stuff. But then just last night or the night before, my wife is looking through her jewelry box, and like all of her most of her rings are gone, and
Oh
like
god.
yeah,
That
yeah.
sucks.
So yeah, so they
Did she lose the
stole.
engagement ring too, or?
No, she was wearing that, so
Okay,
because she
that's
had it
yeah.
fused to the wedding ring, so.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so nothing super valuable. I mean, it's kind of funny because like they have you fill out that high value chart, and we're like, oh yeah, we don't own anything over $1,000.
Yeah,
They're like $200 and $300 that are like that have sentimental value, like as far as jewelry to try to think about.
yeah.
So that's what I'm going. So that sucks.
Oh
So
man. Oh, so they have you like declare, so they give you a chance to inventory stuff that you don't want stolen. Basically, it's like an
That's
opt-out system.
ridiculous.
It's like if it's not on this list, it's fair game.
yeah, I'll tell you, if you move cross country, like I've done this so many times now, here's the optimal thing to do. So you make a first run through and you pack all of your stuff in all your valuables, right?
Hmm.
Anything that's
Yeah,
valuable that you pack that stuff and and then you either just carry it on with you or you seal it up or send it ahead, probably just depending on how much stuff you have. Then you hire local movers that are reputable to load stuff to a cargo truck. Like you rent space on a truck. Like they'll give
okay.
you like so many linear feet. That's the cheapest way to go. Problem that is like getting this stuff there is sometimes they'll drop off like a tractor trailer, like not a pod. The pod thing is almost a similar concept, but it's more expensive. This is just freight lines. They just like have extra space on their shipping trucks, and they'll give you so many linear feet, and you put the bulkhead in, and but you get a local moving company to do that to pack and load because that's going to be cheap. In fact, you could just hire packers separately if you wanted, but once you've packed the valuable stuff and you get it there, and then on the other end you do the same thing. You just have them unload and put in your
Mm,
house, and that's overall going to be the cheapest, the least effort, and the least amount of problems.
yeah. So this time the problem was that you didn't pack all the valuable stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I hired full service movers because I was like, oh, we'll just like we're on a short deadline, we'll just splurge and do the full service movers, pay a little bit more, but they should take extra good care of our stuff. Be extra, like, you know, no. Yeah, because I've done it all. I've done the U-Haul where you pack up everything yourself, throw it in the U-Haul and drive, and that's a pain in the. And then I've done like the pod stuff and the 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 freight ones, and where I've loaded the trucks. And but yeah, I think the cost effective and time effective, the most effective thing it would be pack your valuable stuff, and then like I said, have local movers load it into a freight truck,
Yeah.
and then unpack. And then the nice thing about that also is you've got three different sets of people, each responsible for one particular thing, and
Hmm.
so you don't get the bull crap that you get from one of these van lines, professional movers where they're like pointing the finger and telling you you've signed liability, and they can't really hold your stuff. There's not all the entire lay, you know what I mean? Like the local movers, let's say that you
Yeah.
have someone loading your truck, they have one specific job, and when they're done, they're paid, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And then the freight trucks, those guys, they want your stuff off of their truck. They don't have warehouses and stuff, right? They're just
Right.
regular shipping, and they've
Yep.
got 5 linear feet of space, and they're like, we want your stuff off. So they're not trying to hold your stuff hostage. They're not playing any games. So that's one. And then the last leg, having local movers unloaded again, it's as simple. So I would do it that way, and it'll be
Yeah.
cheaper. So
Yeah. The shipping lines, that makes sense. I mean, that space is their money,
Hmm.
and they want it back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and their truck can't keep moving either, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Out here, John's the only person I know that's actually paid people to move his stuff. Like out here in Utah, I don't know if it's a Utah thing or a Mormon thing or something else, but yeah, of course, the word does go around at church, and that's why you get people to come out and help you move your stuff. So they'll help you load it up into the truck, and then if you're not moving far, they and your new neighbors will help you unload your stuff. That's
yeah, and
very
I've done
common
that.
here.
Yeah, I've done that too but
Yeah, it is a pain.
the cross is harder. Yeah, but yeah, so that's it. So I'm pretty much, I've got a few things to take care of here. We've been trying to get like window treatments and all that fun stuff. But man, it is amazing here in San Diego. I have to tell you, every single day you wake up and it's blue skies, perfect weather every single day. I can't believe I didn't move here sooner. So
Well,
Josh
that's,
knows because Josh
yeah.
came down to visit. It was
Yeah. Well, the one day,
quite
I don't know. The one day though, like we were there for what, like three. I was there for like 3 days or something, and the one day there were like these wispy clouds. It just kind of ruined the whole thing. We were both pretty miserable. But yeah, it's pretty beautiful there. So
Yeah.
I've been to Los Angeles and didn't really like it, but I liked San Diego a lot.
Oh, check it out, Josh. The designer, one of the designers that came by the house, the interior decorator, she does this like house in a box thing where she like has a flat fee and she designs your whole house like
Oh,
3D
cool.
rendering and stuff. And she was like, her boyfriend were at Convert.
You VoIPed out on me
I was
there.
going to say, does he keep dropping out, or is it me?
Yeah, no, I
Oh,
think it's John. I think
my
you.
wireless.
Yeah, your
But
Wi-Fi.
they were at Traffic and Conversion Summit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool. That sounds like a pretty cool business. I'll bet you it's like. I bet you could really charge a premium for that, because you're going to
Yeah,
be. I mean, the
yeah.
people like the top end of that market. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. Met
Nice.
some there was this one designer that's like for Iranian designer that uh like I looked on the portfolio and it was like all these like estates were in DC, and it was these like mansions. It's like he worked with 7 million to $100 million clients. It's
Wow.
like one piece of furniture is like $70,000. Crazy.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. I don't want to like.
Is there somewhere, John? Is there somewhere else you could go? Because I think where you
Yeah.
could get a better Wi-Fi signal, maybe.
Oh, let me
Not
see. I don't
sure.
have. I'm not hardwired yet because I've
Comcast
got.
hates us.
Uh, is that any better?
I don't know.
Just tilting the.
We can see.
Yeah, we'll just have to see when you're saying something
Okay.
brilliant. That's when it's going to drop out. Chuck,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
answer to all of your problems is.
I've got to get the one. I've got like internet hooked up here, but it's. I don't have the wire like in the junction box. They didn't terminate the. There's no RJ45s on the Cat 5.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
Are you
I
having
need
to have that run?
it's already run. I just need to either crimp it myself, put the ends on, or I've got the guy that wired the house. I want him to come out and do it.
Okay.
So I'm also gonna get like home security system. So I've got to figure that out.
Cool. So far, that seems a little better. You haven't
Okay.
dropped out. So we'll see.
Yep. Is that like moving the antenna on top of your TV?
Yep.
Better, better. Oh no! Oh, wait. Oh man. So this week has been full of fail for me. Lucky
Oh
Chuck.
no.
So I postponed Ruby Remote Conf because I had 4 open speaking spots.
Ouch.
And I went to Mountain West Ruby Conference, and like 3 or 4 of the speakers there, they were like, "Oh, I would have spoken at that." Just like, so I am talking to people now. I just postponed it till the end of June, and emailed everybody and said, "Hey, I'll refund you, or give you your credit for the conference back, or whatever." And
In case they can't come. Now
right.
that the dates have changed.
And nobody has asked for their money back or anything else yet. So
Okay.
Oh, cool.
that's been kind of gratifying. And I missed a few people that either had bought ticket packages or had bought the entire season, the entire year. I missed some of those folks when I emailed out, and I emailed them, and they were all like, "Oh, okay, that's fine," because I was like, I'm not putting on half a conference, and I'm not going to just bring people in so that I have a full conference that's not good. So
Yeah.
and
Are you
they
gonna
were all cool with that.
Are you gonna just do 11 then instead? Just drop one?
No, I'm just going to do it at the end of June. I have another one scheduled for the beginning of June,
Okay.
but anyway, what I'm doing now is I'm actually working on getting speakers lined up for basically anything within the next 6 months. I've talked to a few of my friends who are conference organizers, and what they've said is that if you want a speaker, your best bet is to talk to them at least 6 months before your conference.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm trying to secure people now.
Mhm.
I've got people buying React Remote Conf tickets with 1 or 2 speakers listed, and they're not even big names.
React seems like it's really, really hot.
It's really hot. It's really funny. But yeah, I'm getting some publicity from iOS Remote Conf. Definitely plan on promoting that while we're out with iFreaks at Build. But yeah. So
Have you talked to Wes Boss about React?
No.
He's got a product. Might be. If you'd like, I can introduce you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. I will do that.
I wouldn't think you'd need 6 months notice for a web-based. I mean, for travel, for a conference, I would think that you'd need to let speakers know. But
Yeah, but a lot of my issues right now were that people were either getting ready for another conference within the next week or two, or things like that. And so if they've made the commitment and they know they're going to speak, like even if they were going to speak at Mountain West Ruby Conference, which was supposed to be the same week, they could have worked it in and made it happen. So
I see.
yeah, so I'm a little worried about iOS Remote Conf. I have a few people on the docket, but not enough. And so I'm going to go reach out. I know a few people that can get me quality speakers, so I'm not super worried, but I am jumping on that now and trying to get some of these other ones lined up. The other thing is it's way easier to get tickets, or to sell tickets if I have speakers listed.
Yeah.
So,
How are you? I'm curious. Like, how are you when you approach speakers? How are you? Are you pitching them like, I'm doing this awesome thing and come speak, or like, how are you doing that?
Mandy's been reaching out to him. I'm not really sure. I should look
Okay.
because I think it would probably go over better if I did enumerate some benefits to coming.
Well, I was thinking. Yeah, I was also thinking that there might be a way to make it seem a little more prestigious. Like if I don't, I'm assuming that Mandy would be like kind of inviting people to speak. But if you could invite people to apply more, just make it seem a little bit more like we're going to be cherry picking the best here and not kind of like most conferences do, right? Like most
Yeah.
conferences just accept a bunch of applications and then they pick the ones they want and they don't have to go around chasing people and
Yeah.
begging them to speak. So there might be a
Yeah.
positioning thing there that would help.
So I have a call for proposals, and I
Okay.
definitely let people know about that. I usually like to invite a handful of people.
Okay. Yeah, the
Um,
big names.
it's a mix of big names, like you said, and then also I tend to like to get, and I know some of the folks out there that aren't excited about some of these movements might take offense at this, but I usually try and find somebody who's awesome who meets some minority criteria. And
Okay.
what that does, I found, is it makes it so that the other minority groups feel more like they can put in their call for proposals and that I'm more likely to accept them.
Mhm.
I mean, we do blind selection anyway, at least for, I bring people in that I know and trust, and then what happens is they rank the talks, but they rate the talks, but they don't get to see any of the demographic information, so names or emails or anything.
Okay.
And then I just start at the top of the list. And unless I just don't want the talk, or I already have 3 of those, whatever they are, then I just start accepting talks.
I'm seeing a hashtag here. Remote conf so white.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So
Cool.
anyway, but that's kind of the way I approach it. I like to have a few people on the conference early on, and
Yeah.
if they're people know, then they're more likely to buy a ticket.
So
Yep.
charge an application fee, and also do a blood test, genetic.
I know, right?
Yeah. Like, are only 5% Native American, so I'm gonna have to say no.
When you spit in that little package, you didn't spit enough in that package. So
Are you sure your great grandfather was black? Because I think there might have been a little bit of you know,
yeah,
going
I've
on
never
there.
seen a urine sample that color. But yeah, so anyway, so I felt a little bit bad postponing, but everybody was pretty cool about it. And then I also sent around the message on Kickstarter that said, hey folks, I don't have time to do Rails clips, but I am going to finish the video series by April 30th.
Yeah.
And it was funny because there were a few Kickstarter backers at the conference, and I was chatting with them. I'm like, yeah, Monday was rough because I basically told people that I failed like 3 different times. And they're like, oh yeah, I did get that message on Kickstarter, and they're like, yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to those videos. And that was all the response I got. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's not as big of a deal. Like it's a lot harder for you than
yeah,
most people haven't been sitting around like probably thinking about where are
no,
those videos?
no. What brings it to their attention is when they see $10 come out of their account and they don't
Yep.
get anything.
Yeah.
So that's the deal there. But yeah. So that's been crazy. I'm working on just making sure that I do that right. And then there was a lot of discussion about who to bring into Ruby Rogues, and I don't know if I want to go into exact details, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly where I come down on it. But
The drama.
Do you need another? You need another host? Is that the problem?
Yeah. So what's going on is basically for the last several weeks We've had 1 or 2, sometimes 3, if we're really lucky, 4 rogues show up to
Okay.
record episodes. I'm the most consistent. But like the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to be there because I'm going to be at Build and then I'm going to be at MicroConf. So anyway, so we reached out, we were talking about where things are going, and I basically said, well, Saran and David haven't shown up very much, at least for a while, and so we started talking about, okay, well, are they going to stay or are they going to go? And I was like, I want to give them an opportunity to commit to coming. And Saran said that her job with Microsoft, she just can't make it. And so we looked briefly at moving the time, and that turned out to not work, just because we couldn't find a time that worked for everybody else. So she's dropping off the show, and so we're looking to replace her. And there was some sentiment raised that the panelist to replace her should also not be a white person. And so, and I was the person that actually had a problem with that. And it was mostly just, if somebody comes on the show and they're awesome, then who cares if they're black or white or something else?
Yeah, don't play into that. I don't
Anyway, so there was a lot of emailing back and forth, and I was really, really frustrated with it. So, and that just made Monday an extra and especially emotional day. Tuesday was less so, because when I sent my response, I got no response for about 48 hours. Basically saying I don't pick people that way. I don't pick people based on race or gender. How
is it not racist? How is that not? How is that not racist? I don't understand.
Oh boy, here we go.
if you're like, I don't pick people based on race or gender. I just look at who's the best. And if it happens to be 5 white guys, then it's 5 white guys. I don't care. Like, it's just how I pick them. But then when someone says, "Oh, no, we need to get some diversity in here," that is racist. It blows my friggin' mind. Like,
yeah, I think it cuts both ways. Like, it's funny. I'm probably going to get myself in trouble, but a lot of the things that I find the activists saying, people, so this can happen to people of color, or who cares if it inconveniences a few white dudes or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, but if anybody turns that around, then everybody loses their mind. And so, it's like, why can't we just, we all care if it inconveniences anyone. How about that? Right. Or, things like that. So, I'm not going out of my way to try and maintain any kind of status quo in the community toward racial or gender lines, because I don't care. And there was a lot of that discussion. But the thing that really came out of it that really affected me most was that all of the folks that were weighing in on this, they all pointed out, you have a platform and you're not recognizing the power that you have. And yeah, I mean, when we started the show, it was, hey, let's get a group of people together and talk about Ruby on a podcast.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
That was the depth of thought that we put into that. Who do we want on the show? Oh, well, we'll get this guy and this guy and this guy. And then when 2 of them couldn't come anymore, then it was, okay, well, we had these other 2 guys on the show and they were awesome, so we're going to invite them. And that's kind of how the panel has morphed over the years is, okay, somebody else is going to drop off or can't make it or has other life priorities now, and so we're going to, let's see, who else should we bring in? Well, so-and-so was pretty awesome, so we're going to bring him in or her in. And so the current makeup of the panel is, if you're measuring on those things, is vastly different and more diverse than it was. And it's just because I don't much care if somebody is white or black or male or female or gay or straight. We have a transgender person on our show, and that drives some people crazy. But it's like, look, this is the person that I want to gab about Ruby with.
Yeah. Do they know their stuff, and are they interesting and fun to talk to about are they entertaining? That's the criteria that you should be. Yeah, it shouldn't be based off of other stuff, because.
Yeah, but I did have it pointed out to me. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
I
I was
didn't.
gonna say just unless it's something like it's like they're really like like they're very rare and they are skilled and it's like they're doing
Yeah,
something special that it's like, oh, this is kind of cool, and they happen to, based on a cause
yeah.
that they're, yeah.
Well, and if I had two or three people that all met that criteria and I had to pick, I'd probably go for the one that met the other criteria.
Yeah.
It's like all things being equal, sure, I'm going to give the black woman a chance before I give the white guy a chance.
Yeah,
But
exactly. And I would do the same thing. I would do the exact same thing. It's like if everyone was at the equal level, I'm gonna pick the more diverse person just simply because it'll be fun. It'll be cool. Like it'll be,
yeah,
what I mean? Not because you see what I'm saying? Like if everyone is at the same
uh-huh.
level, but I'm never gonna pick someone who's less because they're less qualified because they're more
Yeah.
diverse. That doesn't make any sense. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think well, and I think that's a bunch of rubbish too. I am trying to be careful because I do recognize that sometimes I act with bias without knowing it. But I mean, that's just my own personal okay, what's going into this decision and why am I really making it? But I think I've done okay so far, so I'm not super
Yeah.
worried about it. I'm just trying to be more aware. The other thing though that they pointed out was that because Ruby Rogues reaches so many people, because we get last time I looked, I think we were getting like 15 or 16,000 downloads every episode, and so they pointed out and they're like, well, it's not just what we talk about on the show, it's also the people we have on the show and the people that we've given a voice to on Ruby Rogues, and that's part of the platform. And the personalities are definitely the way I see it is that people start listening for the technical content and they keep coming back because of the people on the show.
Yeah.
Right.
So they come and they see, oh, Ruby podcast, and so they start listening, and then they decide, I really like Avdi and I really like Jessica and I really like Coraline, and so they keep listening. But anyway, they did point out that some of them have been a little bit controversial in the past. Some of them are being controversial right now, and so by having them on the show, I am effectively giving them an amplifier for whatever they're talking about in other areas of the internet. And I guess that's true too. So there's a lot. I mean, there are a lot of inputs, and I'm just trying to sort through what
The
it means and
the
how that
problem,
affects the
yeah,
decisions I make.
the problem with this is like once you start down this road, once you start playing like what is the politically correct game, there are
No, I'm
way
not
too
doing that.
many. No, I know, but like once there are just way too many aggrieved groups
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you even if you wanted to do that, you can't possibly represent everyone.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
guess.
just ridiculous to even it's honest it's just ridiculous to even I mean it's not that is not the purpose of the show.
I will tell you though, guys, I am doing my best to get as dark as possible for us here. So I am taking one for the team. So, I'm getting darker and darker, as I so
Oh,
yeah.
with
We'll
this
just call you Melanoma John.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, so I was frustrated with that. They did give me a lot to think about in their emails. I'm still not sure exactly how I feel about it. I do sympathize a little bit more with the way that they think about this, but I'm not sure that I sympathize enough to actually make a decision based on any of that. I mean, and I think it goes without saying for them too that the decision has to be made regarding somebody who comes to the show and brings something
yeah.
to the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was like, yeah, but I don't feel like I can make that a tier one, decision point on this.
And what are you going to do? Filter people because they have opinions that you don't like that are outside of the show? Like
No,
it's
those are the
it's a
people I want on the show.
yeah. I mean, if people are well, because they said, well, you're giving a platform to people that are saying controversial things.
Yeah.
Uh, d d like, yeah, good. I mean, that you want diversity. That's diversity. Like everyone who wants quote diversity doesn't want diversity. What they want is they want everyone to think the same as them. That everything is fine. Everyone's equal. Everything is. But that's not diversity. Diversity is that there are some people that are totally out there in left field, like screaming hate, and that there's some people that want to love everyone, and that there's some people that are in the middle. That's diversity. Diversity is like all of the colors of the rainbow, good, bad, and ugly. It's not like this one flavor that's being pushed, which that's the stuff that pisses me off, because it's like you gotta accept it all, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, okay,
There's
well,
a
you're not
very
part of
small
our.
list of pre-approved things that are diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Well, it's funny because it did come up when we were still with mostly the original group, and we were all white men, but James has been disabled his whole life, and Josh is gay, and he was about 10 years older than the next oldest of us, and had been he had been gay for most of his life at that point.
Yeah.
And we all had different outlooks and worldviews that were vastly different. I mean, even David and I, who both grew up in Utah, and we actually both lived in the same neighborhood and went to church together when we started the show. We have different enough viewpoints on some things that it was actually a fairly diverse group of voices, even though it doesn't register on the demographic scale at all.
Yeah.
Because we all made good money, we're all white, we're all men. And the only one that even met any of the criteria for marginalized groups were James and Josh, because James was disabled and Josh was homosexual. But we all brought something different to the show, and that's what made it awesome, is that we could have a discussion about it and explore areas of it without offending each other about it. And that's the kind of discussion I want. And so, I mean, if we have to bring somebody in who is demographically diverse because they have a different viewpoint on things to get that different viewpoint, I'm all for it. But if we're bringing somebody in who thinks like the rest of the group, or thinks like, too much like one other person in the group, then it doesn't help the podcast, because then we have two people basically saying the same thing.
Right.
It's much more interesting to say, well, my experience with this is that it's really painful, and somebody else say, well, my experience with this is that it's solved a lot of problems for us. Because then we can talk about what the cases are, where the intersection is, and why you may or may not want to consider whatever we're talking about.
Which is totally valid. Where things start to go wrong is when you start caring what people think. Like when you start modifying what you're doing based on how you're afraid of being perceived, or what you think that other people think. Like when you're doing your thing and you're like, this is the coolest that we can make it, and that's why we're making the decisions, is because this will make it the most awesome thing, then you're on the right path.
Yeah.
When you're on the path of, we got to appeal to, X, Y, or Z, then you're on the downward spiral of doom, because you're never going to make everyone happy, and the more that you do that, the less you're going to have control, and the more that everyone else is going to have control of what you're creating.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, I am looking at, because now that I recognize that I have a platform that does impact people do take cues from the shows. And I've seen that before. I just, it just never clicked together like this. I really am thinking about what I want the shows to really be about, and not like JavaScript jabbers about JavaScript, but about how do we impact the community? Like, what are we about there? How do we impact individual people's lives and careers, and what are we about in those areas? And and then how do we reach that? How do we reach those people and make sure that we're having that kind of impact, on them, so that things are better for them.
Yeah.
And that's really where I'm thinking now. And if I come around to, well, one of the impacts that I want to see is more diversity, then maybe I will consider some of these things as at least for our first pass criteria for trying to find somebody who's got what it takes and meets those criteria. But right now I'm just not there. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I think we all kind of came to understand each other a little bit better there, even though I think we were all frustrated with each other. So between that and Kickstarter and putting off the conference, that was just not a fun day on Monday.
Yeah.
and then I went out and caucused, and that was really fascinating. I told people I was going out and caucusing. I don't know if I want to bring up politics on this show, so I won't mention who I went out for.
We've kind of done. I can guess. We've kind of done that already, but
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so I actually had a jersey that said Cruz on the back. But yeah, anyway, it was, I got varied reactions, and that's the thing that's really interesting to me is that I've gotten more and more to the point where I'm not interested. I don't care if I offend people. I'm just going to tell them where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I got some really interesting reactions from some friends that they're like, really? But the thing that's interesting is then you get this glimpse into how they think, and it's like, well, I can't go out for Cruz because of this, or I like John Kasich because blah blah blah, and just the reasons and rationalizations for people to choose different candidates and then back them. It has been really interesting, and it also gives me a chance to really challenge my thinking, and I feel like I make better decisions when I do that. So anyway, it was really, really fun. That was fun on Tuesday to talk to people and then go out and caucus.
That's cool. Do you do that every presidential, or I guess it would be every 4 years potentially?
Caucusing in Utah is every 2 years.
Okay.
And the reason is that the candidates for the House of Representatives in the U.S. and stuff are every 2 years, and then our senators are staggered. So
right,
2 out of the 3 2-year cycles, we're going to be going out and choosing delegates that go and choose who's going to be on the Republican ticket. The other thing that's really interesting, though, is that it also goes into the state legislature and the county level stuff and things like that. So if you really want to have a say around here as far as who's on the ballot and what the issues really are there, then you have to go out and you have to caucus. And then they kind of had...
Not sure how I feel about that word as a verb.
We need you to caucus.
But yeah, it was really fun. And then they had a presidential preference vote at the caucus, is the way that the party did it in Utah this year. So you just marked an X on your guy, and then they counted them up, and the precinct called it into the state, and that's how that went. So it was pretty interesting. I know that some caucuses, they tend to give time for
to be the correct plural there.
Probably. I know some of them let people come up and speak and say, I'm gonna go to the state convention and I'm gonna give so and so a bad time, or you should vote for this person on your presidential preference because of these issues, but none of that really happened. Anyway, it was really interesting, and I think it's really important that people get involved in the political process wherever you're at, so that you understand the issues that are going on around you.
Pennsylvania kind of sucks here because we're so late in the primary cycle that it's usually down to like one candidate by the time.
Yeah, it's the same here, but because
we're not voting till like May.
Yeah, but because Trump and Cruz are so close.
Yeah.
Every state's going to matter until it comes down to somebody either getting enough delegates to clinch the nomination, or until we get all the way out to, I think California is the last one, and then go to the convention and see what happens. So
yeah, I don't think anybody's going to have it.
Yeah, so a lot of people got excited this time because they could go out and actually vote and make a difference.
Yeah.
I hear that California is going to make maybe the big difference in the Republican. So
I think it'll be interesting.
All 8 Republicans there.
You get a vote twice, John?
have to fight amongst yourselves.
No, you had to be registered in Florida like 30 days in advance, which I wasn't registered in the Republican Party. But I'm registered for California now.
Okay. Is that the first time you've ever been registered?
Yes, it's the first time I'll ever be voting at all, because I've never been in support of a candidate at all, but I am this time.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. And even Mitt Romney, who was popular out here because of what he did for the Olympics, I also heard some mutterings that he's Mormon, so we have to vote for him, and I told those people that they were dumb. But Anyway, I liked him, but I didn't like him enough to actually go out and caucus. So,
Okay.
but yeah, this time I really felt like even if I didn't have like somebody that I was really behind, which I did, I needed to be out there and know the issues well enough to pick. So that's what happened.
Yeah. My like true opinion on it, like I like it for the entertainment value, but
Oh,
like
there's
the
plenty of that.
practical, yeah, that's why I like this cycle. It's fun. But my practical opinion on it, like my total practice, then the reason why, because everyone's like, "Oh, John, you're such an asshole. You didn't vote. You don't vote." Like, like it doesn't actually affect my life. Like, it's not that it doesn't affect my life, it's that I can't affect how it affects my life. So it's to me, like political process is sort of like a natural disaster. Like I have no control over it and I just have to deal with it. So the more energy that I put into it, unless I'm going to influence massive amounts of people that are going to swing a vote a certain way, and I don't care to put that much effort into it, unless I'm going to go to that level, my individual vote doesn't matter. Now, the fact that I have a public platform and I'm telling people that their individual vote doesn't matter could technically be a contradiction, make it matter. So
Right.
that could bad technically. So everyone else vote, but anyway, but my personal stance has always been like I should technically just tune out of politics 100% and just work on what I'm working on, because just like an earthquake, I can like petition an earthquake, but it's going to happen anyway. Same thing, like whoever's going to get elected, like my one little measly vote is not going to change things one or the other. So, from a totally practical perspective, it's like that's why I haven't voted in the past. But this time I like the entertainment value enough that it's like worth it to me, even though it's from a practical level not gonna. It's just wasting my time. But
Yeah, the issue is though is that a lot of these elections are decided by who shows up. So if you really care that somebody gets in, you need to show up, and you need to get anybody else who's going to go out for them to show up too.
that's not really true, because just my vote doesn't. It's never like so. As long
Yeah,
as
but
I'm
that's
the only
true
one
of
who thinks that
everybody.
way. Well, yeah,
That's
but that's okay because I'm the one who can think like that, and that would just be me, right? Except that I'm talking publicly now, and other people are now picking that up. But that aside from that contradiction, just like when I'm in my private home and I'm not telling the public this secret about myself, just me not voting or not giving a crap doesn't make any bit of a difference at all. Even if I got 3 of my friends to vote, it still wouldn't make a difference. So there's like, unless you actually have a real impact, you have no impact. And that's there's like a tipping point. So I mean, it's all fun, like the fun aspect, but like in reality, yeah, I agree with you saying, like at a mass level, but at the mass level, it's the same thing like recycling or polluting. It's like it doesn't matter at the individual level, but at the mass level it does. So you got to have everyone believing this thing to be true, so that at the mass level the thing works, just like the cogs of the machine work once if everyone's doing their part. But at the individual level, it doesn't matter.
I think you're both right and wrong, but it's I mean you're right in the sense that if everybody goes out and votes, then yeah.
And then people say, oh, but John, if everyone thought the way that you did, then yeah, then it wouldn't work. And it's like, yeah, but that's why everyone doesn't think the way that I do, so I
Yeah.
can think the way that I do. If everyone did think the way that I did, then I couldn't, but then I would actually have an impact with my vote. So as long as the majority doesn't think the way that I do, the way that I do is correct. And when that switches, which it never will, then what I'm saying will be incorrect.
I
Well,
think I think
majority
what
of
you said
people.
sums up why you're both right and wrong, but I'm
Exactly.
the
I
majority,
recognize that.
the majority of people don't vote though. It's like
yeah.
40%.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
so
fully
five.
half of those don't even know what they're voting on. They're voting
Extra
on a guy
5%.
because they look like his dog.
If an extra 5% of people, 5% of the elected turn out, that's a massive swing.
Yes.
I mean that.
And that's why it
So
comes down to who shows up. The
yeah.
other thing is that if one party or movement gets people excited and the other one doesn't, I'm thinking John McCain versus Barack Obama, when people just didn't come out because they weren't excited, and
Yeah.
Obama's people came out because they were excited.
Yep. And
So
sometimes
it
three or
comes
four
it
times in the
it
same.
comes down to who shows up.
Yeah, it's not the same 40% every time.
Yep.
Right.
It's the same 20%, and then a bunch of people who only show up every 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to veer this back toward business here for a minute. Because I'm sitting here thinking about this, and then I don't know why it came into my head, but it did.
Hold on, wait a minute. We can't go back to business yet because we have hit race, we have hit politics, we have not yet hit religion. We must hit religion.
Hey, I mentioned that Mormons help Mormons move.
Yeah.
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
you did.
Okay, we've hit religion.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. All right.
And Mormons vote for Mitt Romney, so
Yeah.
There we go.
we got a twofer there.
Well, it's funny because in this election, Mormons overwhelmingly backed Cruz over Trump.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what that means. It's just an interesting fact. Anyway, so one thing that I want to jump on real quick is that I've been looking at putting up a landing page for Get a Coder Job.
Yep.
And I've been sending emails around, and I'm going to start putting that link into the emails. But and I have Thrive themes, or I have Thrive something or other installed on the blog.devchat.tv, and I think that's where I'm going to put it. And then I'll just have it forward to there. I'm trying to decide if that's a good idea or if I should go actually like buy a landing page theme somewhere and put that up or what. But I haven't quite been able to figure out how to put one up with Thrive themes anyway.
So to do a landing page with Thrive, do you have a WordPress installation?
Yeah, and I can set up another WordPress installation just for the book website if I wanted.
Okay. Well, so we're actually going to be combining so we have separate WordPress sites for 10 steps and devcareerboost.com is the how to market yourself. We're actually going to be combining those back into Simple Programmer just because it's stupid to have three different WordPress sites when they're really just one page. So what we're going to do, actually the reason we have the Dev Career Boost one is because John set that up as part of their challenge. We did one of those 24-hour challenges, so he couldn't use Simple Programmer because it already had traffic. And that's literally the only reason. I realized that like about 2 weeks ago. I was like, John, this is stupid. This is the only reason we have 2 sites here. So we're gonna combine them. So all you do to set up a landing page with Thrive is create a regular WordPress page, and then you have to install the Thrive Content Builder. So if you don't have that plugin installed, then you'll need to install that. And then there's a little button on the top of the page that says Edit in Thrive Content Builder. You click that, and it opens the Thrive page editor, and then you just choose a theme. And they've got a bunch of themes in there, and that basically replaces the page, the WordPress page.
Yep. So is the Thrive Content Builder that I want?
Yeah, Thrive Content Builder. Yeah. So you'll need to have. It's not. Yeah, I was kind of. And you'll probably also
button there, but when I clicked it, it said the page isn't picked.
Oh, you have to publish the page, or I think you have to publish the page.
I don't think I had the right thing installed because I think I installed Thrive Leads and not.
Okay. Yeah, you need. I think you'll need Thrive Leads too. I'm not 100% sure. If you're going to do a lead gen.
No, I got the right thing. It says Thrive Visual Editor.
Yeah, that's what you want. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I installed, but
you have to publish the page. The page has to be like, it needs a URL for the. That threw me for a loop too. Thrive is like
page in order to edit it with Thrive.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, funky stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah. So what I've done is like I will just change the URL. Like if it's going to be the home page or whatever, I'll just change the URL and then edit it to be whatever I want it to be when it's done. So. Yeah, that threw me for a while. I think I spent like half an hour trying to figure out what the heck was going on with that.
Okay.
So, and then once you do that, then you can there's a little drop down. You'll have to poke around. It's a little bit. It's not the easiest thing in the world to find, but there's like a little drop down that you can pick. I think it's like Thrive. I can actually look because I have just instead of doing this from memory. But yeah, it definitely. I feel like Thrive took me about. Gosh, like anywhere from 4 to 8 hours of messing around with before I felt like super comfortable with it. And now once you get it, like it's fantastic. But it definitely takes a little bit of fiddling with at first. And there's definitely some things about it that aren't. that really aren't intuitive.
Yep.
Oh, this is different already. Yeah, I just created a page and said I want to edit it with Thrive Content Builder, and
yeah, did you and it's coming up? So
yeah, but it's not doing anything on here. Do I need like some JavaScript installed on the page or something?
no. What are you seeing?
I'm just seeing a blank page.
Look in your Chrome, whatchamacallit,
Oh
debug
yeah,
window.
Privacy Badger is turned off. I don't see anything else here that would be interfering with it.
Do you see in any JavaScript errors in the Chrome debug console?
Oh, that's a good.
Yeah, there's some optimization. Is it a pretty clean WordPress site, or do you have a
Oh
lot
no,
of?
it's a custom theme. But yeah, I don't have very much else installed.
Okay. The custom, there's a chance.
Like compression, JavaScript, optimization, minification, or anything like that. That always screws it up.
Yeah, there are no JavaScript errors.
Well, this took us a little fiddling.
Okay.
You might, if you don't have a lot, if there's nothing else going on the site, you might want to just turn off the custom theme and turn off plugins, and then just re-enable and do that little dance to see if you can figure out what
interesting. So switch the theme and then switch it back.
Yeah, switch it to like the 20, whatever the latest default WordPress 2016 or whatever the latest theme is, and because it sounds like we had issues with there's certain optimization plugins that will minify your JavaScript, and that was screwing it up, and I had some trouble with it, but
yeah.
All right,
it's
I paid somebody to skin this like DevChat.tv, so it looks like the other site.
Okay, it's a pretty heavyweight plugin, so there's definitely a lot of things that can go wrong with it.
Right.
But it's worth it.
Okie dokie. I'm not going back to lead pages, so I got to figure something else out.
Yeah, we have burned that bridge. Apparently, they've introduced drag and drop design, so they're at least getting better than what I hated about lead pages before was how everything was locked down. You had they had the template, and then you had to write your copy to fit the template, which is just asinine. It's like form follows function, not the other way around.
Yep. So. Makes sense.
Cool. At least we got you one step closer anyway.
Yeah.
Could just be a matter of refresh, just you might need to clear cookies and all that stuff too. So.
Yeah, and then I'll fiddle with it and see what I can figure out.
Okay. And throw up a red flag if you need help.
Yeah, I will. So, yeah, and then or I may just set up a website for the book. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just put it under its own WordPress installation under its own name. But yeah, and then the rest of my day I get to run over to the bank and tell them to stop being dummies because I closed my account, but apparently closed isn't closed with them.
Mm.
And so
I had that happen to me too.
PayPal's hit the business bank account 3 times trying to pull money out, and it fails, and then I still get dinged with the fees, and then I'm just I'm not dealing with you people anymore. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say, I told you to close it. And so, if anything else hits this, decline it because I'm not paying any fees.
Yeah. Or I will caucus you, you son of a
Yeah. And then I left my credit card up in downtown Salt Lake during the conference. I have to go back and pick it up.
I had that happen to me with Capital One at one point. I canceled the card. And I called them up and I said I want to cancel my account, and they said, okay, your card has been closed. And they continued to process transactions after I canceled the card. And then I was getting bills from them, but I wasn't paying attention to them because I figured that I canceled that card. Well, 3 months later, they're threatening to turn me over to collections for this. I think they had $400 worth of
Yeah.
fees and interest, and like it was like every month they were doubling my fee. It was like a stupid like $10 charge or something, and then they wanted me to pay $400, and I spent hours on the phone, and I was just
Oh, yeah.
like, yeah, I had to explain it like 10 times to 10 different people, and I was like, I'm not paying this.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go over to the bank branch and just yell at somebody in person. Usually gets them motivated. I ask nicely and I sit there and smile at them until they tell me no. I've done this before.
One strategy that usually works works a lot in those situations is a lot of times I'll just say, okay, this is what I'm going to need you to do.
Yeah.
Instead of can you do this, I say, okay, this is what you're going to do, or this is what I'm going to have you do. And then because they're so used to deferring to authority that they will
so
just
true.
do it.
I swear those tellers get beat down hard at work.
Because they know, because there's a very big totem pole in the banking system, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So they are just if you come in with a dominant, I'm telling you to do this, they're very likely to just do it.
Huh.
Yep. I'll have to try that.
I will have to keep that in mind too. I'm not sure I can pull that off as effectively as you can, John.
Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they're like, oh, that's cute. Would you like some coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth a try.
The only other thing I've done this week is, so I've written a few small parts of my book, but I started outlining it. I don't know if you can see this.
I see sticky notes.
Yep.
Oh, look, it's Trello.
So yeah, I just I kind of brainstormed a whole bunch of stuff that needs to go into the book, and I'm going to rearrange it today, and then basically move that into an outline that I can work off of. And so I have a skeleton to hang the meat off of.
I can tell you right now that your book needs more diversity, but
I know, right? It's all orange people.
One pink sticker and a bunch of orange.
Yeah, and it's all square, So.
What's wrong with that? I have my token orange sticky up there.
Love it. So can you remind me what this? We haven't talked about this in a while. So can you remind me what this book is going to be about again?
It's about finding a job as a programmer. It's specifically aimed at new programmers.
Okay.
I went back and forth for a while. Do I do everybody or just new programmers? But the people who are asking me are new people. And the people who are asking me if I know anybody are looking for experienced people. And so I figure that I'll just focus it on the market that actually needs it. And then I'll have good stuff in there, and I can, if somebody says, well, what about experienced people? I'll just say, stuff in there works for them too. And yeah, then I can really focus my message and make it very pointed and hit all of the pain points people are telling me they have and just nail it.
Yeah,
and
so is it
I'll
like
do better on the book that way.
Is it like a find your first job?
Yeah, basically.
Kind of book?
But a lot of the strategies work for anybody. If you're having trouble finding a job, if you're switching technologies but not necessarily career paths, in other words, you're an experienced programmer but you're moving from Rails to React, a lot of this will work for that too. But specifically, I keep getting asked by kindergarten teacher gone coder or something.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
I went through boot camp, and now what do I do?
They're supposed to line up. At that point, the companies are supposed to be lining up.
I know, right?
And you just pick one.
Yeah, or I've had a few people basically say, I've sent my resume around to everybody, and nobody's calling me. And it's like, yeah, there's a reason for that, and it's not your fault except for that you don't know what you should be doing instead.
Yeah. So I don't know, John, if you're thinking the same thing, but Chuck, we've been kind of thinking. We've been thinking about. I've kind of been interested in having a get your first job kind of product in our lineup. So I don't know if that is if there's if it's a spin-off of your book, if it's like a course that you build on top of the book, but it might be worth something worth talking about a little more, because how to market yourself is a little bit broader. I kind of would like something that's hyper-focused on newbies, and you could even build a version of it that's customized for people who are job switchers like I was, because that was I would have loved. I looked for something like that when I was job switching, and
Yeah.
there was nothing out there.
Yeah,
So yeah, so there could be some really good potential there if you're interested.
yeah, I don't know if I want to sell it under the Simple Programmer banner per se, because I would like to build my own
Yeah,
brand with products.
yeah,
However, and I am planning on doing a course or at least a set of videos that go with it. I'm not exactly sure on the format of that yet.
hmm
I really just want to get all the content together and in a book
hmm
first, and then I can say, okay, uh, these are the things that are kind of demoable slash hard to visualize just reading the book,
right.
and then yeah, I mean, I'd totally be willing to, let you do some kind of affiliate sales and actually theme a page and stuff so that it looks like you're still on Simple Programmer and buying it over there.
Do you what about so would you consider doing a licensing type agreement where we would pay you some amount of money for the rights to resell it on our site?
Maybe I'd have to think about that.
Yeah, because that could be another option.
Yeah, I always say maybe if I'm like, I haven't really thought about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out something, whether it be a cross promotion
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
could
think
just
there's a good opportunity for.
yeah, between soft
both.
skills and how to market yourself and this,
Mhm.
I think there's some real synergy there, and I think we kind of be silly not to make each other a whole bunch of money
Yeah.
by doing
Yeah,
that.
I agree. Yeah, especially if you keep it like if you don't let it creep it over into more of a general. And I think it would be smart to
I
keep it
really
focused
don't
on.
want to.
Yeah, I think it would keep it focused on the beginner
Yeah.
market.
I might have an appendix in there that's like, if you're a more experienced person, then try these
Yeah.
strategies this other way. But I'm not
Mhm.
even sure if I want to do that because I feel like it does
Yeah.
dilute
Well,
a
I
little.
think it's the honest truth is that there's probably not a huge amount of difference between those two
No, there's
scenarios,
not.
but the perception is that there is, and so so you need to like the beginners are going to assume
Yeah.
they also don't have the one thing that's different is they don't have as many tools at their disposal.
Right. I was
So,
going to say the difference is, I mean, the strategies will all work for them.
mhm,
The hiring processes are very similar, if not the same.
right.
What really differs is that people who have been in the industry longer know more people, and so that makes it a lot easier to get a job. They have more
Right.
experience.
Right.
They've sat through more interviews. So basically, a lot of it boils down to experience and who you know. But
Yeah.
the other difference is that the challenges for somebody who's new versus somebody who's not new are
Mhm.
also they exist. And if
Well,
you're
yeah.
if you are if you are one of these, we're going to go back to the minority discussion for a minute. I mean, there are challenges out there under certain circumstances for people who look different, and so in my book, that particular point, I'm gonna I'll tell you right now, it's gonna tick some people off, but that point is going to be, there are people out there trying to change it, but for right now, you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so here are some ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
But most of the power in those situations is not in the hands of the applicant.
Yep.
Exactly.
But anyway, so what the rest of it boils down to is, how do I get noticed? How do I get involved? How do I get my name out there? How do I get, where experienced people can kind of go, well, I worked with our mutual friend John, and so Josh, do you want to hire me? Because you can go talk to John and he'll tell you how great I am, and you may not even call John just because you feel good about me knowing John.
Right.
Whereas these new folks, they just don't. The other thing is they don't know where to look. They don't know what a good job looks like. They don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are all these other things, and so they're just desperate to get a job, and
Right.
they're afraid to say no, and they don't want to look like they don't know what they're doing, and so they tend to make a lot more of those mistakes than the experienced people.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that like is tough, and I kind of went through this recently, is the whole like proof, right? Because if you can prove that you can do the job, it's kind of a no-brainer. The problem that employers have is they don't have any way of knowing if you can do the job or not, and so they have to go off of your resume basically and your experience and assume that if you worked somewhere for 3 years that you can do it.
Right, and that you're telling the truth.
Yeah, yeah. So like assembling that proof when you're new is especially like you have to be there's creative things you can do that get you a lot of that same benefit of having
Hmm.
5 or 10 years of experience. But most people never think of that stuff. They just think,
Yep.
oh, I've never worked anywhere before, so there's nothing I can show.
Yep. Yeah, the other challenge is knowing how much you should get paid for new people.
Yeah.
The experienced people generally know what they're worth. You,
And
and I take it back. Generally, people who are out there looking for a new job, they know that they're worth more than they were when they got hired at their last job.
Right.
So they have a starting point. My experience is that half the people that are out there looking for their next programming job don't ask for enough in salary.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
And see, the nice thing about this is like I like the idea of making it hyper focused for the beginners. And I mean the gardening for left-handed single stay-at-home moms, that book is going to sell better to that audience than just gardening, right?
right.
It's like you target them, even though it's exact advice, and then you can take that content and you can repurpose it slightly, because it's going to be a lot of the same message, and now you can make another product or another book that's chicken soup for the teenage soul, chicken soup for the grandmother's soul, or you know what I'm saying, where it's the same
Yeah.
content, but you've got a little bit of customization because it's going to apply the same, but now it's specifically for that audience. And then both between the two targeted versions of it, you're going to sell more because both of those groups that come into it are going to say, "Oh, this is for me," you know, and that's if you've ever like read one of those books where an author's done that and you're like, oh, that's interesting because it's the same stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but like it's just that they put a different cover on it, and that's because that's the thing that appeals more. But yeah, you have the
Yeah.
opportunity to create kind of a line from that. So
Now formulated for dog lovers.
yeah.
And Chuck, I will personally like drive to Utah and like smack you around if you try to sell this for $29.
The book?
Yeah. This
Yeah.
needs to be like this needs to be at least a multi-tiered thing and have a tier that's like $300 or so.
That's my plan.
Yeah,
The idea is, I won't tell you what I was just going to sell the book for then, but
$19.
actually
I'm gonna need the van for a while.
I was actually looking at a little lower than that even, but
Oh gosh, okay.
yeah, I think people will pick it up if the
Yeah.
promise is right, and if it helps a few people get jobs and they start talking about it, then it's going to take off. So I think you're right on that.
Yeah, you could rip out pieces of it and sell them for like make little tiny products that you sell
Yeah.
for like $9 or $7.
So my
or-
chapters on interviewing, or my chapters on
Yeah, exactly. Like have it be like a guide or
getting
something.
in the door or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, this. I mean, this is a very very real pain point that people are feeling. You're going to have really really good content for them. It's literally life changing.
Yeah.
If they read your book and do even one thing that you tell them, they will probably make back whatever you charge for it
That's true.
tenfold. And that's the math is very easy to demonstrate. So
Yep. But what I'm looking at is, so I was going to sell it for less, but let's say I do the book for $50.
mhm.
Then the next tier up, I was going to have a series of videos that go with it, and it may or may not get to the point where you could conceivably call it a course. I don't know. I haven't quite figured out exactly how deep I'm going to go there. But then the third tier is you get all of that stuff, and you can also schedule an hour with me where I sit down and talk to you, and actually we talk through where you're at and what you're doing and what you can change so that you have a better chance of getting that
Mhm.
job. Because
That
a lot
should
of
be
times
like
people just need somebody to say, look, you're doing the right things, but you're missing this and this, and it's killing your job search.
Mhm.
But that's going to be like $1,000.
Yeah, I was going to say at least $500 for that. But yeah. Yep.
And the
The
middle
one- so
tier
the-
one will be a few $100s.
The one challenge with this is that you have to catch people at the right time.
Yeah.
So so I actually did a survey this week of our audience and asked them how satisfied they were with their jobs. And what I found was that 8% were like utterly miserable, like off the charts miserable, and
Uh-huh.
then 25% or like 23% or so were unhappy. So, just with, you're going to have probably
I should do a
like
guess
somewhere
what
5,
too.
10, 15% of your audience would be, well, if you're targeting this at beginners, then
Mhm.
you're only going to have one shot at those
Yeah.
people, because once they get that first job, they're not beginners anymore.
Yeah, but the
Um,
thing is that I feel like with this, most people that I talk to, I have a 3 to 6 month window after they,
mhm.
because
Yeah.
especially since they graduate from the boot camp, a handful of them might actually get a job right out of the boot camp, but most of those folks, they kind of flail around for 3 months and then they
Yep.
go, why can't I find a job?
Yep.
And that's where I want to hit them, is right there where they're just
Yep.
totally and utterly frustrated
Yep.
and
Yeah.
okay, now what? What do I do? Um, and and so then they come to this and they go, oh, this is telling me to do something different, and I see why it works.
hmm Yep. Yeah. I'm not really. This is not really a bad thing. It's just, but that's a
Yeah.
very small slice of your audience. It might be 3,
Yeah.
5%. So that's the only downside. It's going to limit your sales a little bit, but I think partially the urgency of it and the fact that you're the only one doing it will make up for that.
Yep.
I guess, so there's like two types of audiences. There's like a static audience, and then there's like the passing parade.
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely a passing parade. So like,
Yeah.
it'll also be good for you to build a back end off of it, where you've got kind of like John has the 10 steps thing. So even
Yeah.
after you get a job, there's still something else to buy he
Right.
can help you with. So, but
Yeah,
that's down the
true.
road.
I could write a lot of those. How to talk to your boss.
Exactly.
How
Yeah.
to contribite to your team in
Yeah. Well, and
non-conventional ways.
you could also, one thing you could try to do would be
How to ask for a raise.
all during the marketing of this, set them up to be thinking, okay, well, just getting hired is only part of the battle.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're going to help them, like, so once they get hired, you're going to help them with, because like you still have to, you're kind of on probation that first 3 to 6
Yeah.
months. So here's all the things that so you have like something else to offer them that helps them through that time frame.
Yeah, that's another one that I have in me that I've kind of been. I keep coming up with more ideas for, and that's how to level up.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
Lots
that
of
sounds
good ideas.
exciting.
Now I have to go back and play this and take notes.
But yeah, I'm definitely. I'd like to do either some kind of affiliate thing or some kind of licensing or something. So we have another. We're talking to another somebody else who has kind of a similar product, but I'm going to probably do like an evergreen funnel with them where I build. They wanted to do like a joint venture where they just do a webinar, and I was like, okay, well, we'll do that, but we'll record the webinar, and I'll build an email sequence that leads up to it, and we're going to make that evergreen. So hopefully when we're done, we'll have another cash stream, and I'll just drop that in the bottom of my Plinko machine, and everybody coming through is going to get pitched on that email course, which leads into the webinar.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm working on, and that's one thing that I thought about doing is basically scheduling like 5 or 6 webinars, and I think I talked about this on an earlier show, and then just making them available for anyone who comes live and then anyone who buys the package that has them in it, and then basically just dig into a couple of the main points of this. And what I want to do is I just want to talk about the main points under that umbrella for like 30 minutes and then do Q&A. And then what that does is it gives me a chance to flesh out the book some, but it also gives me a chance to get people on board with the message of the book and what it's about and start talking about it.
Yeah.
And do that as part of the launch.
Yep. Since you've got an upper tier that's pretty expensive, I think the webinar format is probably that might be the best way to sell it too.
Yeah.
So
should I put up pre-sale page now, or should I wait until I have the book ready?
Okay, so my opinion on this is going to be what happened with Kickstarter. Okay, I'm actually not a fan of doing that. I'm not a huge fan of it.
So build up to a launch and then launch.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do pre-sales, I think it's okay, but I'd like to have 80% of the work done
Yeah.
ahead of time, or
Yeah,
at
that
least
makes
have
sense.
a huge head of steam heading towards the finish line.
Yeah,
But
that makes
definitely
sense.
put up a landing page where you're collecting email
Yeah.
Oh,
addresses.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yep.
Should it be
Yeah.
the same under the same umbrella as the devchat.tv stuff, or should it be its own thing?
At this point, you have so many brands. I would try to keep it consolidated.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's just me. I mean, just for your sanity.
Nope, sounds good. That makes sense. It makes it easier for me. Way easier for me.
Yep.
Because then I don't have to come up with new content for them. And the content over the next several months on that mailing list is going to be about this stuff anyway. Because I'm trying to prime people to get excited about the launch.
Yep. Cool. It's exciting.
Well, I talked about me for about an hour. What are you guys up to?
So I think our sale didn't do horrible. I think it did okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you were
Yes.
talking about this last week.
Right. So what happened? Well, to recap briefly, previously on Entreprogrammers, Josh screwed up the scheduling of it so that half the emails went out last week and half went out this week.
Josh!
Yeah. So yeah, but I was hoping that this week would be better than last week, or at least about as good, and it ended up being worse. So we ended up, I totaled it all up this morning, and it looks like it was like somewhere around just under 6,000. I think it was like 5,700 or something like that, which we both were kind of expecting more like 15 to 20,000. So that's kind of a big blow. But this morning I realized that I was going through the numbers, and I was like, oh yeah, let me check how I segmented this, because I knew I'd set it up so that we were going to exclude people that were going through a bunch of critical sequences, like email sequences. So I looked, and it was like 5,000 people who were like the most recent subscribers who were still going through the blogging course. Basically, the cream of the crop we excluded from the mailing entirely.
Yeah.
So
wow.
And I was doing that to give them a chance to kind of work their way through let things kind of play out for them the way that they normally do, and then when they drop off the end of all that stuff, we'll put them into the sales. Because I mean, why offer them a sale when they're going to get an automated sale in a few weeks anyway, or a week or two anyway? So I think actually that is probably the biggest factor in why.
Yeah. One thing we can look at too, I just realized like in DPD you can do a coupon usage report.
Yeah, that's how I got the numbers.
I backed it to January 2015, and I'm looking at like other launches to compare, like, because some of the sales data is mixed up in just sales that came through. I just looked at kind of the total that came through in that time period.
Oh, okay,
So,
right.
Like the Better Job had 23 orders, right?
Yeah.
So it's like 4,500.
So like Fight My Wife would be one.
Fight My Wife HCM only had 17.
Oh.
So we actually did more. A lot
what
more.
About Poop and Swoop? These are all coupon codes.
Oh gosh.
Fight My Wife 10 had 37. So
okay.
And then we had
let's see.
Poop and Swoop did awesome. Poop and Swoop had 48.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
Okay. Well, but that's not completely, given that we excluded probably the 5,000 best, most promising prospects on our list. That's not that bad.
And then if we look at, what was the other one? Was it Save 10? Save 10 had 10, I think.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so there's, different spring sale. There was a spring sale. It had 29.
Okay.
I mean, the list is bigger, but we exclude, like you said, a larger portion of it because I think in the other
Yeah.
sales I hadn't excluded that portion of the list, and that probably took hits on people going through the course
Yeah, what it
later
hit,
in that
it
in the
hits.
next month.
So we're also I think the biggest chunk of them are people who have been through the blogging course and are now on the extended. We have this like really long drawn out, which I need to change, but we have this long drawn out blogging course follow up sequence that's like stretches on for like 20 weeks or something. It's kind of a little out of hand. So I
Yeah.
excluded people that are on that.
A 20-week email course?
Well, no, it's not an email course. It's like they get the email course. They get two lessons a week. The way the blogging course is set up is it's 2 lessons a week, 3 or 4 weeks, and then we drop them onto the follow-up sequence, which has a sale built into it. And then there's like just nurture follow-up emails for like 20 weeks after that, and they're like a week apart or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't like that's just what we have now, and I think what I'm going to do is I want to break out. The first thing I'm going to do is take the blogging course and break out the sales sequence right after that, so that's separate.
Yeah.
And then probably I like that long nurture sequence, but I'm going to probably move that into a separate thing and still use it, but not the same way that we're using it now. So because they're good emails, but. Yeah, so that was I didn't realize it was that many subscribers that we had excluded. So pretty much most of the people who've subscribed within the last 3 or 4 months didn't get the emails.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and everybody else
Has seen the offers before?
They've seen the offers multiple times before, and we haven't doing any nurture emails really. So
Yeah.
John was doing he stopped doing the nurture email, like his Friday email in October, right before we did the 10 steps launch, and we haven't done that since. So I'm gonna start working on getting that built out so that we have an automated nurture sequence.
And your nurture emails are the ones with the stories and the anecdotes and all that fun stuff in them. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, overall,
I'm getting better at those.
Yeah, you've been doing some good emails, Chuck. I think that you're doing a good job.
I just do look at it and go, what would Josh do?
Well,
I like it.
Do I have a good story for this? And then it works. It's like, oh, I've got a great story to tell. Oh, and here's the point I want to make. Or, yeah, it's a great story, and I think they'll relate, and I'll just tell them to go check out this thing at the end anyway.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I mean, we still have like 5-6 days in the month, and we're at like 15,000 in sales for products. So that's I mean, that's good. I mean, the sales in there, but still, like that's a good month. So, and if we hit those every 3 months, just from that, then So, and when I look back and I looked at the sales data, like the monthly product sales data, if you look at it from when I've been tracking, Josh, over the year in that spreadsheet, you can see that, like, in general, even on sales months, that we're exceeding almost all the months aside from the launch months. So.
Yeah, we were on track to break 10K in product sales this month, which would be a first for us.
Yeah, which if you back out the coupons, I think we will.
Yeah, I think so.
Because we can just back out the coupons, and then we'll know.
Yeah,
so.
although exactly.
Although there's some spillover sales, but still.
Yeah, I think that the overall buzz of the sale kind of kicks up some other sales, but.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, things are heading in the right direction here, and if we can. So when I'm kind of rounding. I'm rounding third base here on the how to market yourself sales page.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Which has been a monster to put together, but once I get that together, so John, I'm thinking we'll just put that out there and not really make a big deal about it. Just like put the page out there and see what it does for like a month.
Exactly.
And then and just because that way we'll get a nice like clean, unbiased look at the performance of it, and then I can rewrite. Like I'd like to make keep the blogging course, but not make it the primary funnel for how to market yourself. So like, my kids are here, they're leaving. Hey guys, see you. they're so cute. They've got their little backpacks on. But yeah, I wanna write something a little bit more like the 5 learning mistakes
Yeah.
that more directly, transitions right into the how to market yourself pitch. So
Yeah. Yeah. That
it'll
makes
be
sense.
interesting. The survey that I did this week was fantastic. It was Chuck, if you decide to do a survey, I would really recommend 80/20 Sales and Marketing book has a chapter in it on doing this little 3-question survey.
So I think I remember reading that, and I've been wanting to do a survey. So
Yes, it's really, really good. So you want to pick something. So what I did was, I was going to focus the survey entirely on, how satisfied are you with your job, basically. And so it was 3 questions. The first question was like basically a scale of 1 to 5. How satisfied are you with your job? And then I asked them something like, if you could wave a magic wand and change anything about your job, like what would that be? And then the third question was, how would that basically how would your life get better if you
Yeah.
did that? And
Right.
people like poured their hearts out. I had 24 pages of people who were extremely dissatisfied or dissatisfied with their jobs. So I spent almost a full 8 hours going through that survey data. But what really makes this method work well is that you take the survey and you throw out, basically you look at the 4s and 5s, like the most, the people that are most unhappy in their current
Uh-huh.
situation, throw out everybody else because they're probably not going to spend money to fix their problem. Even if they're a little bit unhappy, they're not unhappy enough that you want to pay a lot of attention to what they say. So
Yeah.
I threw those out, and then you take the answers that you get, and I just in Excel you just do a character count, and you rank them by who said the most, who typed the most, because I'm giving them this
Mhm.
little tiny window to write in, and so it's the MailChimp thing or a SurveyMonkey thing.
Right.
You've got this little tiny window. I had people who wrote me 500 words,
Holy cow!
Yeah.
blog posts. They were writing blog posts in this little 1-inch high window, and just pouring their hearts out, and it was really, really good. So I basically used that to write the headline that I'm going with, and so we'll see how it goes. But the lead of basically the lead of the sales page is going to be, John had this really awful, basically focusing it on John's worst job that he ever had,
Yeah.
which was this consulting company up in New Jersey. And the scene that I'm starting with is when he's a consultant, he's a contractor, an hourly contractor,
Mhm.
and he's screaming at his boss. Basically the guy wondering if the guy's going to fire him on the spot. So that's kind of the tension is that's where I'm starting with it, and then I'm going to start the story there, and then I'm going to actually divert a little bit and talk about just how crazy the job hunt process is, and how basically 98% of people get screened out just based on their resume,
Mhm.
and the average number of applications.
I'm putting that in my book. That's exactly what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
The average number of applications. Yeah, I honestly think that this sales page could probably work for your book. No swiping. Uh, but yeah, the companies get they get their first application within 200 seconds of posting something on Monster. They get 250 applications on average, and that's just for the average job. And if you want to work at Google, it's 10 times easier to get into Harvard than it is to get a job at Google.
Oh wow.
So I'm walking through some stats, and I'm saying basically, John took this job in New Jersey because he'd been sending out his resume for months and living on his parents' sofa, and he couldn't find anything because he was dealing with this crap, just trying to fight your way through all this noise. And so then he settles for this job, and his life is hell for 11 months. So yeah, and it kind of gives me, through that story, I can hit on all the pain points that people are expressing. Because the number one pain point that jumped out to me was, my boss is an idiot. I hate my boss. Which I thought, that was kind of on my radar, but I didn't realize that was the number one thing that people are really frustrated with. So
Yeah, one thing that, and I should write a guest post on Simple Programmer or something about it, but or put it on devchat.tv blog. But after a couple of contracts that kind of went the wrong way, I figured out that by the time I get to the point where I'm saying I wish I had never taken this job, I wouldn't have taken this job if I'd known then, but I'm not ready to quit. That's the time I need to quit.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to get worse.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this story with John is it's like, oh my goodness, I was laughing so hard when he was telling it to me because there's so many good details in it, and they basically hired him to be a fall guy. So they had this thing that they thought that couldn't be done. They had this job that they thought no one could actually do it. So they, like, rather than risking one of their full-time employees, they just hired a contractor to do it, and they were going to just let him go when he couldn't do it. And then he did it, so they had to keep him. And so then they basically make his life miserable for the next few months. And
Right.
so yeah, and it all comes to a head when they try to force him to go to London for training. I think it was for training, and he refuses to go. So yeah, been having fun with it, but we shall see how it does.
Yep.
So,
Fascinating.
the other thing, this is so awesome. I've gotten so much better at hiring people. It's
Oh my
so
goodness,
fun.
yes.
I'm applying the same process to blinds, like to interior shutters people, and to interior designers. I'm meeting with like 5 of them, by the way, because it's like, you just have them all, like, don't move fast, like, just like get the full information. But
Mm-hmm.
I've hired 4 Linux people. I put out the job description for. We decided not to do Pagely because it was like, Pagely is like, they seem great. Like, I don't want to knock Pagely.
I don't
They
think
seem great.
I don't think we talked about the Pagely. Pagely is like, basically they're like WP Engineer. They're a dedicated WordPress hosting company, and we were thinking about that because we had the site get attacked a few times, and John spent days, like 2 or 3 full days, trying to get the site to stop crashing, and it was just a real nightmare. So we're either going to hire a Linux guy or go with one of the dedicated hosting companies that, like, specialize in WordPress.
Right.
And we were this close to going with Pagely, like going with a specialized WordPress company, because it's like, okay, that'll take care of the security problem, everything's fine, and the performance was like, I want to say it was about as good as what we had, or maybe slightly less in some areas. Maybe it could handle a bigger load, but the general response time seemed to be a little bit less. And so, but it's like $500 a month, and the DigitalOcean server that we have is $160 a month plus
Right.
Backups and stuff. So maybe it comes to 200 or so. So it's like an extra $300 a month, which isn't a huge deal, but it's like, you I don't know, like, you keep making those decisions, and then you're stuck. So at the last minute, I was like, Josh, no, let's not do Pagely. Like, I don't want to pay this extra money. They're not faster. It's just not like that's.
Yeah.
It should be faster if it's going to be in it. So then I put out this job rec for Linux, ninjas that could optimize the fastest. I basically put out a job rec asking for someone who can make knows they can make the fastest WordPress install on Linux, right? And we got, like, I think 20 or 30 applicants. Most of them just throw away. But then there was some real interesting stuff. Like, there was these guys that were like, oh, we don't use MySQL. We use, like, Cassandra or
With
Maria,
WordPress?
or was it MariaDB?
MariaDB, and then the actual
Maria is the new MySQL, basically.
yeah,
It's the open source one, but yeah.
Oh,
but I
'cause
had no idea.
MySQL, didn't that get, like, engorged? Like, didn't Oracle take
bought
that
'em.
out? Yeah.
And supposedly they're still out there, but
Okay.
But most
anyway,
people
I'm not going to get into all the.
Yeah. I mean, most people run WordPress on MySQL. I didn't know you could do anything else. But, like, there's another guy, one of the guys is running on Percona, and it was just interesting. Like, they had a lot of different, techniques and ideas about the stack. You could tell the people that really knew their stuff. Like, it was immediate. Like, Josh and I filtered through, and
Mm-hmm.
we found 4 people, that basically, so I've got all 4 of them hired. I think one of them ended up bugging out, but the rest of them are going on it. And good rates. Like, there's actually this guy from the UK that I think is going to end up being the best guy. That's like $20 an hour, and he's already set up the server. In fact, this is how crazy this is. So he's got a $10 machine, right? That he's
Uh-huh.
taken the backup of Simple Programmer on. In fact, I've got it right here. I'll give you the link so you can see how friggin' snappy this is. This is crazy. It's faster than our $160 a month box on a
Oh
$10
wow.
box. Yeah, go to that link and like click around there and see how fast the pages come up.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
it's just nuts. So like that's totally the way to go here, because what we're going to end up doing is, I think what we're really going to end up with here is, I think we're going to end up with a total crackerjack Linux guy that understands like way in depth. That's going to be a really cheap hourly rate. That's probably going to drop our server. Like I anticipate that we're not going to need a $160 server. I think that we want more than a
Yeah.
$10. But I bet we're going to drop that to an $80 a month server. So we're going to probably save the money there, have
Mm-hmm.
a more secure site, have it totally customized for us,
Yeah.
and coming in faster. So I think that it's worth that investment. And then
Yep.
we'll be able to do anything that we need to do. Like, it'll be nice to be say, okay, let's move these sites over to here, or whatever we want to do with it. And yeah, I think that's gonna work out well. So
Yep.
Does he do Rails?
I don't know. He's totally specialized too on like just performance on WordPress on Linux. Like that's what he does.
Oh wow.
So,
Yep.
my other idea is then to get a front end person that will handle. So once we get this nailed down, then the other slowdown is on the actual page loading time, not on the server serving it up, not the response time, because the response time is all controlled by the hardware, right, and that setup. But after the response time, the page load time, right, all the JavaScript and external APIs and calls and stuff like that. So then I want to
Right.
just total WordPress optimization guru that just works on the part above the machine,
Right.
and get
Right.
them to work on the site, and then we'll have like blazing fast. And then we'd also have both those expertise in our in our fold, so that if we need help with any of those things, we have someone we can call that's not expensive, that we can get work done. So
Yep.
Nice. I've been considering seeing if I could bring somebody in part-time to just do some chef setup for me, and then just show me how to maintain it, and then I just hire them for the stuff that kind of goes beyond what I want or am interested in doing. But
You could probably find somebody for really good for like $20 an hour.
yeah,
like we
that
did.
sounds about right. And I think that might be the next thing that I do with the next set of sponsorship checks that I get. But yeah, I'm with you guys on this, because I mean, it's stuff that I like fiddling with, but it's not stuff I should be doing.
Well, it stops being fun when your site is crashing
Yeah.
and you are, and like you keep banning IPs and they keep spinning up new IPs, and like that's just stops being fun.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is that yeah, I can just modify the chef recipe and then, have it in my host ignore file or whatever, host.deny I think is what it is. And so I can modify that. So if I'm going to ban an IP, then I can just run the report and train somebody else to do that and put it in, and then it just gets deployed out the next time Chef runs on that server.
Yep.
But yeah, I definitely like this technique, because I mean, there's
Yeah.
multiple, like we're gonna have multiple people competing that are all doing the same job, so they're all installing a backup of Simple Programmer on a server.
Right.
So it's gonna be exact, and we can test
Mhm.
compare apples to apples. Not only that, when we pick the best one, we're gonna have 2 additional backups. And then we're also testing response time, because like it's a communication. How fast are people getting back to us, and what are they saying? Because they're actually working a real job. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the most challenging thing is coming up with a realistic, meaningful task to
Yeah.
people. Because without giving, the problem is like a lot of times you have to give them the keys to the kingdom, and you don't want to
Yeah.
do that if you
Right.
you don't want to give 5 people access to your server, and but having them do this, spin the thing up on their own so we could test it was a good, that's a really good way to go. And with
Yeah.
video editing, we did the same thing where John had them all edit the same, you know, same video basically, so we could compare
Yeah.
side by side.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit of an extra investment, but so far,
Yeah.
results are working out well because it's crazy. It's weird because I like even with like as I was thinking about with the house with the shutters and interior design, like my normally if I hadn't done this before, I would have just like called a few people, like maybe had one or two people come out and then pick the person with the best price. But that's not like
Yeah.
that's totally not what you really want to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it was funny too because the time estimates were so different. Like, so one person was saying like 8 to 10 hours to set up a server, and one guy was like, yeah, like an hour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even there, right? If you just go off the hourly rate, if
Exactly.
it's 1 hour at $20 an hour is cheaper than 8 hours at $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you also get the better guy, right?
Hmm.
Because they
Yep.
know more because the fact that they're able to do it in that amount of time and have that they usually have more knowledge and tools. So
Yep.
Yeah.
so yeah,
Well,
so I think we're in a good spot there, like with
yeah.
this one.
Yeah, I went through some. I mean, I wasn't going to turn a copy of my books over to 6 bookkeepers and do that, but the one that I wound up hiring, she got in. We chatted for a little bit, so I felt like I got to know her a little bit, and then she just none of the other ones did it. She was the only one that did it, but she got in and she asked me all the questions about all the things that I have going on in my business, and in
Yep.
the end, she had basically said, "This is what I'm going to do." I'm like, "Okay." She was the last one I interviewed. I had one
Oh,
interview
nice.
scheduled after her, and they
Yeah.
didn't show, so I just emailed her. You want it? Sure. But yeah, it's that kind of thing, right? Where you see
So,
that somebody's going to just deliver what you want.
what did you have them do then? You had them set up an account, like a QuickBooks account for you, or?
No, so I have QuickBooks on. I already had QuickBooks Online. I
Yeah.
categorized like 4 things.
Okay.
Um, but I just asked her all my questions, and then she asked me a whole bunch of questions, and she's like, yeah. So if you're doing that kind of thing, then you want to kind of manage things like this, and I asked her about. I get paid for a quarter, and so what do you do for that? And she's like, well, with accrual based, what you're doing is you're counting the money when you invoice for it. She's like, but you can set it up if you care, so that it actually comes out of accounts payable. I think it was, you know, when you earn it. She's like, so you can set all that up. It just depends on how complicated you want it to be. And she's like, and we can run all the reports. And I asked her a few questions about that, and she said, the thing is it wasn't just yeah I know how to do that, but it was like, well, let me dig into this a little bit more with you. Okay, well then you're probably going to want to do this or this, and then it just depends on what you care about this way or that way, and you
Yeah.
know everybody else was just like, yeah, I can do that, yeah, I can do that, yeah, I can do that.
Right.
I asked him a couple questions about things that I was trying to figure out in QuickBooks Online, and most of them could answer that, but being able to use the tool isn't my only criteria.
Right.
So
It's probably the least important.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, it's better to just go through and just like not hire someone or like, just keep on
yeah,
interviewing until you find the right where you're like, yes, this is it.
Hmm.
yeah.
But,
So yeah, but I'm glad that the hiring stuff's working out for you.
and with the bookkeeping on our side, I've got the guy that we had was kind of expensive because he wanted like I think $400 a month uh, for to keep the books, which I mean it's not like ridiculous expensive, but considering how small of a company we are, that seems like a
Hmm.
pretty big expenditure for bookkeeping, right? So I had him give me the process that he's using because he's developed this fairly complex process of getting everything in there. So he's got that all documented. So the current plan now is that, and I talked to another bookkeeper, and he didn't seem to like. He wanted us to simplify things. So I think the current plan now is that for March, I'm going to run through the process and do it myself that he's got, and I'll ask him for any questions and and make sure that I have it down. And then once I have it down, then I think we're going to do the same thing again on Upwork and look for someone who's not quite at the same skill level who can implement the process and I can
Hmm.
train them on the process, because then we just need someone who understands the tools and who can follow the process and who has enough accounting experience to like handle ambiguities. We don't need like that expert level that we had here, and then we can probably get someone for a fairly cheap. And then I'll also know how much time it takes for the task, right? Because I think when I run through this, it's going to be like 2 or 3 hours at the most. And once you get good at it, it should only take a couple hours. So then we can, if you've got someone
Hmm.
who's like, $30 an hour, and it's only going to take them 3 hours a month, that's $90. So they shouldn't be charging you more than $100 a month. So
Yep, makes sense. I'm trying to remember if this person that I talked to, because I invited her to the job. I don't remember if she's one of the people that you referred to me or not. Yeah. So.
Cool. After this call, I'm meeting with a guy to do some AdWords consulting or get his opinion on our YouTube, doing some YouTube advertising. So
oh, cool, yeah.
yeah, so I've been running YouTube ads just for the heck of it, for a Simple Programmer for the last couple weeks, and so I'm using retargeting. So YouTube is actually pretty amazing. I really like YouTube advertising better than I like Facebook. The thing that bugs me the most about Facebook is that you have to, in order to be able to retarget people, you have to get them to click through to your website, which is expensive because Facebook doesn't want you to take people off of Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
want you to keep people on Facebook.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
they charge you a premium if you're going to be driving traffic off to your site. So you're paying more, but the only way, like if people click on your post or they reply to it or they like it, you can't retarget them. Like you can't. The only things that you can retarget are likes, like if they like your page, or which is hard to get people to do, or they click on a link, which is hard to get people to do and expensive.
Yeah.
So, but with YouTube, anyone who watches any of the videos John's created, I can retarget.
Oh, nice.
And so the equivalent of that would be like on Facebook, if somebody clicks on the post or to expand it, or they interact with it, or they comment, or they give it a thumbs up or whatever, being able to retarget those people. Yeah, so basically anybody who watches any of John's videos, I think I can even target down to like anybody who's watched 60 seconds of one of John's videos, like so you can eliminate people who aren't that interested. It's actually really, really powerful. So I've got two different campaigns running. I've got one for people who watch the videos on YouTube and one for people who visit Simple Programmer. And these are just those in-stream ads, so the ads that run like before you watch another video. And we are getting almost 40% of people that start to watch the ad at least watch past 30 seconds, which is crazy. Like you don't get charged for ads on YouTube unless they watch at least 30 seconds of it. Otherwise, it just counts as an impression. So yeah, so people like 40% of the people who see John start to talk to them sit there and watch at least 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
So, and that we're paying basically right now we're paying like 11 cents per view for that. So what I'm going to try to get this guy to help me with is figure out how to get that 11 cents down to like 3 to 5 cents, and then walk people through a process to where I can get them onto an email list.
Right.
And the people that are doing this right now with YouTube and similar strategy on Facebook, they're getting leads for like 75 cents. If we could do that, like if we could get email signups for 75 cents, we could probably triple or quadruple our sales.
Oh yeah.
In just a few weeks. If we can get that, if you can get that to where you're making $1.01 instead of when you're spending $1, then if we can get over that hump, then we could potentially like explode this thing. So hopefully I can figure that out. So
It'll
I'm
be
meeting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy that I'm meeting with is his name's Ryan Masters, and he's got a fitness business, and which is I actually really like because with the simple programmer stuff, we're kind of flirting with dangerous territory where we're showing people how to make more money, get a better job. Like that's sort of getting towards the gray areas that Google and Facebook tend to not like.
Yeah.
He's got a fitness business which is squarely in the Google hates your guts category. He's actually been banned from AdWords and got his account reinstated. So I'm also going to talk to him about that. But yeah, so he seems like a good guy to help us out. So we paid for he does coaching and I paid for an hour of his time and gonna try to get him to help me set this thing up.
Well, I'm going out to San Francisco next week, so I'll just go down to the Googleplex and shake someone for you. Turn it back on.
Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's interesting too. We'll see what he says about the. I've seen a lot of strategy where a lot of the Facebook advertising is they hit you real quick with a message in 10 seconds because if you don't watch for 10 seconds, then you don't get charged.
Right.
So they're actually trying to fit the punchline. They're trying to, or they do a shotgun like filter, in the first 10 seconds, trying to only get the people that are gonna like, or they'll actually say something like, "Stop watching this video right now if you don't like dog butts."
Right.
I love dog butts.
Yeah.
Just hit skip.
Yeah.
And then they're like, so they're not getting charged for it, but.
Right. Yeah, I think John, that's kind of what's been driving a little bit of my comments like we've been talking about YouTube videos and like I think you need to come out of the gate really hard like in that for the first few seconds and like at least it's kind of like the subject line of an email. Like you got to at least get something really interesting in there or some kind of implied benefit or like something so that they know watching the rest of this video is going to be worth it.
Right.
And it's kind of that same thing where especially if we're going to use because we're using the videos that I'm using are actually just videos that John's recorded. They're not like special commercials or anything. They're just content videos. So we'll want them to be kind of like hit hard out of the gate. I got targeted by Ty Lopez this week. It's kind of funny. It was like him like I've never really I haven't encountered him before. And so he's like walking he was like I watched some of it. He's like walking me around this like mansion.
Yeah.
He's like I got the basketball court over here. It's like I was pretty interested by what he was doing.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't really know who he is either, John. Who is he? He's basically like an internet marketing guy, or?
Yeah, he started doing these controversial like videos. Like he just hammered YouTube marketing real quick. He like came from nowhere. He's like this serial entrepreneur, but started this public face, and he's like shown up like all everywhere. He's just like exploded all over the place, just doing crazy marketing.
Is he the guy who had like the Ferrari video? Okay.
Exactly, in his garage. But he seems to be good. I did a video on him actually on like whether he's a scam. In fact, if you go to that video, his ad pops up on every single time you watch that video.
We should do it the other way around. We should target him. We should target him with his Ty Lopez scam videos.
Yeah.
So just be in this never-ending loop. John Ty Lopez.
But I don't know. I mean, I haven't bought his stuff or anything, but a lot of people were just like knocking him just because he's doing the ads, and I was like, hey, he's being effective, like whether what he's telling, and he's telling you to read a lot of books. Like, I don't see what's like, I mean, I haven't checked out his stuff totally, but what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're sitting on your ass watching YouTube videos. All right, so like, but. Yeah,
it's great when you can yell at your audience for consuming your content.
Exactly.
You idiots, you're just sitting here reading emails all day.
But yeah, I don't know. He's definitely done just built up a huge amount of subscribers. I mean, he's poured a lot of money into it, I'm sure. But
yeah. Yeah, what I want to try to figure out is how do we get. So with Ryan, I'm gonna try to figure out like, okay, with these ads, should we be going for YouTube subscribers or should we just be going for email subscribers?
Yeah.
And like what's the best format to do that? Because that's what I'm just not real clear on how to get people to actually take the next step. And also, like, if we're getting 40% of people, like, what are all the factors in terms of pricing YouTube ads? Because if 40% of people are watching our ad, obviously it's people want to see it. So
Right.
why are we still getting charged like 12 cents per view? That seems high to me. So like, what do
Yeah.
we have to do? What do we what do we have to do to get that down to 2 to 5 cents?
Right. Yep.
Because I don't think we can. I mean, 40% view rate seems pretty darn good to me. Like, I don't. I mean, maybe you get to 50. I don't. You're not going to get it to 80. I don't think.
No, but yeah,
No.
it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see because I think like all the YouTube marketing stuff that I've seen so far, they've talked about like it's that they measure the conversion, not the, but because they're trying to get people in the first 10 seconds to click, and then that's a free click,
Right.
and then it doesn't
Yeah.
count as they don't get charged. So
Right.
I don't know. There's a whole
Yeah.
thing,
This
but
is this is a little different strategy. So the strategy that I'm talking to Ryan about is more of like a multi-exposure nurture,
yeah,
um,
I
like
like
kind
that
of like a
better.
brand, it's like a content nurture with content type of strategy versus like bam, punch people in the face with an offer.
Exactly. Yeah, it's better
So I
than
don't
that.
know if that 10-second thing really applies as much to this. So
No, and I'd prefer to do what you're saying, that strategy, because
yeah, it's a good
I want to
fit
build
with
the audience, and
right.
rather like everyone's like, oh, subscribers don't matter, view count or minutes watch matter. And I'm like, well, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I want to build subscribers
Yeah,
because building subscribers is more of a foundation than worrying about view count. Like you can have some viral video and have minutes watched really high, but if you have a lot of subscribers, you're going to have a lot of minutes watched.
yep,
Yeah, and
So,
you have a bigger pond to fish in.
yep.
yep,
So,
yeah. So
cool.
figuring out how to get the YouTube traffic to simple programmers like we definitely because right now we're only getting like like I looked at the traffic report and it's like we get I think a few hundred hits a month from the channel, so we need to like figure out how to bridge that gap.
Well, those are
It's
direct clicks too. You don't know. I
yeah,
mean, every single
it's
video I say, hey, this is John Summers from
yeah,
simpleprogrammer.com. You know, we've got the
yep,
logo there. So there's a lot of people that are, I mean, if you're subscribed, if you're watching like 10 videos, you're going to go to simpleprogrammer.com at some point after you've watched 10 videos.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's no way you're not doing that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been using the pop-up. What are they? The little
The welcome gate thing or
no,
the
on YouTube they have the little things that pop
oh
up that you can click on them. And
annotations and
yeah, and you can put a link in them, but you can only link back to your site, which is
right.
enough. But yeah, I've got devchat.tv basically. Um, it's got a URL shortener on it, so I can just shorten them up. In fact, I have a VA that I upload the new videos of the episodes, and he actually goes and adds all those, and we
Oh,
get clicks
nice.
through them. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I will have to report back.
all right, should we wrap this up here? I think
Let's
we're
do it.
thoughts for the week.
I think my main thought, and we kind of talked about this, is just that things aren't always as bad as they feel like at the time. You're frustrated about the things that didn't go right, and you're frustrated about what you have to do to take care of it. But at the end of the day, I mean, it didn't really hurt anything. None of it did, as far as I know. But at the time, it still sucks. So,
Yeah.
just keep in mind that your worst case scenario probably isn't as bad as you think, and it'll all work out.
I'm gonna say so. Um, sometimes it's don't let the fact that you've made a commitment drag you into something that is going to make your life miserable for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
So I was talking to one of my coaching students, Felix, yesterday, and he has this. He started to work with a client, and he'd gotten a commitment from them to do a discovery package type of deal where he was going to look at their business and make recommendations and all that. And he's like, they've been dragging their feet, and he feels bad. Like, he took their money and he's agreed to do this thing with them. And I'm like, look, just cut your losses now. They're not as motivated on this as you are. So we came up with a nice way for him to do that. Doesn't make him, shouldn't burn any bridges, but it gets him out of it, because it's only going to get worse. I mean, even so if he does a bang up job, and they're like, okay, cooperative, or you're just going to get sucked into this 3 to 6 month long battle where you're fighting them every step of the way, and just get out.
Yep. Cool. Mine would be slow down. Take time. Sometimes you got to move fast, but never be in a rush. Be in a rush. You can always avoid being in a rush, but even though there's times when you need to move fast, just slow down, take the time to do things right, to figure out what needs to be done. The more that I do that, the more that I take the time, and like we're doing with the Linux guy, that we're it's taking time to figure out some of these things, but then it becomes right, and then you have much less of a headache. Rather, you do the quick job, you're in a rush, so you make a bad decision, and the rush decision, and you pay for it a long, long time. So it's better to just slow down, get the right people on the bus, do whatever, get the right person for the job. Make the right decision, the right call when you have enough information. Not analysis paralysis, like not taking action, but you're just taking action. You're just deferring making a decision until you have enough information. So, all right.
Cool.
Yay.
Next week, are we in? Yeah, we're recording in.
Yeah, we have to
Las
get
Vegas.
we'll have to get we'll have to figure out the setup for that. I don't know if you.
I can take care of that.
Oh, okay. All right. We got it.
Just a portable recorder, right, Chuck?
Yeah, I have a portable recorder. I also have, what is it? It's a Blue Yeti that does omnidirectional. We can use either of those, and it should work okay.
Okay.
Cool.
This might also be a good excuse for me to buy a Zoom.
Yeah.
I really want one. I don't need one, but I really want one.
Now, strippers don't have anywhere to clip a mic.
Oh, we're doing one of those episodes?
We'll need some skin tape, I think. Is that how they do that?
Hey, everybody has folds in their skin somewhere. Does that pinch a little? Too much?
It'll be like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, or no, not what's the other one? The Honeymoon, or where the guys wake up and and there's a tiger in the room.
No idea.
You know what I'm talking about? Right, you haven't seen that movie?
No.
Nope.
They wake up Mike Tyson's there, and there's one of the guys is kidnapped, and
Nope. Still drawing a blank, John.
Hangover. The movie's Hangover. Yeah. You haven't seen it in Hangover 2? Yeah.
I can only imagine one of them wakes up in a tub of ice with his kidney missing.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's something like that, but. All right. Let's wrap it up. So yeah, next week we'll be live.
Sweet. That'll be
really
fun.
Live.
Yep.
All right.
Alrighty.
See you guys. See you guys next week. Yep. Bye.